Good morning, guys. So we are reading today. Well, the title of this talk message, whatever you want to call it, is "They are close. Be on guard." Okay, they are close. They are close. They're closer than you think. Okay, be on guard, and this comes by way of Joshua 9. And I'm going to read all of Joshua 9. I'm going to skip over some things and just kind of get through the bread and butter of it, or the meat and potatoes, whichever way you want to slice and dice this thing. But the important part of this message is they are close, be on guard. First, let me just give a shout out to my Lord Jesus Christ. Ooh, because God is so good, honestly, and He confirms His word. Everything that I have been saying to you guys over the last couple of days, the dream interpretations, everything, I'm hearing other people say the same thing. They may say it a little differently, but God confirms His word. Because sometimes I will be very honest with you. I'm like, okay, God, I'm new at this. I'm new at dream interpretation. I'm new at really trying to convey your message or the messages that you download in me to your people. And I don't want to doubt what you're doing in me, God. But this is what I will say. Sometimes it seems too good to be true. Now, I told you, remember we broke down the dream a couple of days ago. And I told you in part 4 of that dream, you're going to start doubting a little bit because it just seems too good to be true. Like God could be doing these things. He could be talking to you. He could be engaging with you like that, or moving things around to work out in your favor. So if you haven't heard that dream or listened to that dream, it is on my YouTube under God is Doing It Bit by Bit Dream Interpretation. Okay, it's the last video that I posted. But anywho's, God is good. He's greatly to be praised, and I just pray that His hand will be on this message and in this word, so you guys could, be in a way to receive it. All right, awesome sauce. So the message once again is they are close, be on guard. And this is coming from Joshua 9. So in verse 1, when all the kings heard about what Joshua had done to Jericho and Ai, they gathered everybody from the Hittite, Amorite, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites to go against Joshua, to fight with him. Okay? So when the Hivites, these are people from Gibeon, they heard that Joshua had done, when they heard what Joshua had done to Jericho and Ai, they acted craftily. Okay? So they acted too. The kings gathered all those people from those different lands to fight against Joshua, but the Hivites said, okay, well, we are going to respond crafty as well, but not how they're responding. So what they did was they set out and took along provision. They took out worn out sacks on their donkeys. They gathered wineskins that were worn out and split open and patched together, and worn out patched sandals on their feet, and worn out clothes. And all their supply of food was dry and had turned to crumbs. So what these people were doing was, we are going to look like we are so broken down. We are going to look like we are poor. We are going to look like we are broken down. I think I've already said that, but I'm going to say it again. And we are going to set out and go to Joshua and the men of Israel. So they traveled, they went to Joshua, and they said to them, we are your servants. Then Joshua said to them, who are you and where do you come from? They said to him again, your servants. Then Joshua Okay, so they said, your servants, we've come afar, from a far country. We heard of the fame of the Lord your God. We heard what he did in Egypt. Okay, and because they heard what God had done with Joshua in Egypt, how they delivered them from Egypt, how Joshua fought Jericho, the wall came tumbling down. He fought Ai, one of the greatest, camps or soldiers. He destroyed them with the power of God. These people were fearful. They were frightened, okay? And because they were frightened, they took provision. They became deceitful. They said, we're going to dress like we are servants. We're going to move like we are servants. We're going to present to them our food that is crumbled, but their food looked like that way before they started traveling, okay? So the elders and all the residents of our country said to us, take provision for your journey and go meet the sons of Israel and say to them, we are your servants now. Make a covenant treaty with us. So I want you to understand one thing. I want you to get something here. When they came to Joshua, they said, we are your servants. They didn't ask Joshua, can we be your servants? So what they did was, because I had to write this down, it is a statement that indicates the state or condition of a group or people, okay? It is what we consider a declarative statement. It expresses a fact about the speaker, indicating that they see themselves as servants to the person being addressed. So they're asserting themselves in these people's lives. Okay, they didn't ask if we could be your servants. They declared that we are your servants. Why do I want to make this so profound? Is because people will watch you, okay? People are watching you. They're watching your moves. They're watching what you say. They're watching what you do. These people who were the Hivites found out what God had done to Jericho and to Ai. So they were privy to how Joshua and the men of Israel destroyed the wall of Jericho, destroyed the habitats of these places. They didn't want no parts. So they watched. They figured, what can we do to get on their team, to get on their side? So people are going to watch you, and they're going to come to you very deceptively, okay? They're not going to ask questions. They're going to give you declarative statements. So there's a difference between asking a question and declaring something. What is the difference? Asking the intent to request information, clarification, or response for someone. Okay, declaring to provide information, make a statement, or assert something. So let's just say, for instance, you are a business owner and maybe you could use more organization. Maybe you are struggling in a particular area where you're finding it hard to ship out things, move things along, and someone who has watched you for a mighty long time or for some time comes up to you and they say, hey, I see you're struggling in this area. I'm now going to be your assistant. Okay, they're declaring, they're making a declarative statement. I'm now going to be your assistant. And because you need help, because you are kind of all over the place, the first thing you say is, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Oh, I really appreciate it. Okay, here's where you can start. All right, be careful for the ones who make declarative statements. Most of those people have been watching you. They want what you want. They want your lives. They want your stories. They want your money. They want your fame. Whatever it is, they want something that you have. All right? Be more tuned into them asking, hey, I see that you're struggling in an area. I have a background in secretarial work, I was a personal assistant for some years. My skill set is on organization, marketing, and all this. I was wondering if you needed some help. And if so, can I help you? There's a difference, okay? There is a difference. These people that want your lives, they're not going to come asking you questions. They're going to come looking the part. They're going to come looking the part. Why are they going to come looking the part? So you can just receive what it is that they're giving you. All right, let's go on. All right. So by this time, they said, our elders told us to go ahead, go to you, and make a covenant treaty with you. This bread of ours was hot. So now they're lying. Okay, now they're at the part where they're lying. So they go to Joshua and say, this bread of ours was hot, fresh, when we took it along as our provision from our house. But now look at it. It's dry and it's crumbs. These wineskins which we filled were new. And look now, they are split. Our clothes are worn. Our sandals are torn. And we come a very long, far way. So the men of Israel took some of their own provision and offered them in friendship. And foolishly, now foolishly is in brackets here, did not ask for the counsel of the Lord, okay? They did not ask for the counsel of the Lord. So these people are going to be deceptive. They're going to come into your life, conniving, cunning, deceitful, with a whole plan on how to insert themselves into your life, whether that's to gain access, get closer to your wife, get closer to your husband, get closer to your children, get closer to your business, get closer to someone that's close to you. Their intention is not pure, okay? And it's going to look like they traveled afar, but they did not. They're actually in your circle already. They're very close to you in proximity. They're in hand's reach, okay? They're in hand's reach. So what this is saying to us is pay attention at the words that are coming out of people's mouths. Pay attention to how they're asking. Are they asking me a question? Or are they providing me with information that they already think is factual? Okay? Pay attention to how people speak. Pay attention to their tone. Pay attention to their presentation. Pay attention to their hand gestures. Pay attention to everything. Okay? So then the men of Israel took some of their provision, offered it to them in friendship foolishly, and didn't go to God. Okay. Joshua made peace with them and made a covenant treaty with them to let them live. And the leaders of the congregation of Israel swore an oath to them. Now I told you, who you give your yes to is very powerful. Who you go into covenant with or make an agreement with is very, very powerful. Why is it powerful? Because God acknowledges covenants, whether they're good or bad. So just say you marry the wrong person. Are you still not in covenant with that person? Just because you married the wrong person, you're still in covenant with them. So marrying them was very easy, but removing yourself from the marriage could be quite difficult. That's why you always want to take things to God in prayer. Is this my spouse? Is this the person you have for me? Is this the business move I should be making? Are these people, should these people be a part of my circle or part of the movement or part of my hustle? Whatever it is, take everything back to the Lord in prayer, and he will reveal the hearts of man. Okay? He will reveal the hearts of man. Now, I also want to make something clear here too, is that when they use the words we are, they were confident in what it is that they were saying. So what's the difference between asking and a declarative statement as far as confidence is concerned? Asking, the certainty level is low. All right. The speaker does not have the information and is seeking it from someone. The authority, the level is low. The speaker is relying on the listener to provide information or confirmation. Declaring, the certainty is high in confidence. The speaker provides information as a fact or assertion, indicating they believe in the accuracy of what they are saying. The authority is higher. Okay, the speaker takes responsibility for the information and presents it assertively. Okay, so you got to pay attention to how people are coming to you. You have to pay attention how people are coming to you. Now, let me give you a true story. So during the time my husband and I were together, I encouraged him to get his real estate license. I said, I think you would be great. You speak 3 different languages. You are from the restaurant industry. So I think that type of, mindset in real estate brings a certain level of care, client care, concern, and just like that human touch. So he ended up getting his real estate license. He teamed up with this group of people and he was super excited, like a kid in the candy store, right? And so this woman, like the first 2 weeks, no, I'll give her a month. The first month in watching us and, him talking about me, like, oh, my wife got me into this and all this type of stuff. She said to me one day, she said to me and him, oh, I just love you guys. My kids go to this Jewish camp in the summertime. It's $5,000 and I want to pay for your son. Now she's making a declarative statement. I'm going to pay for your son to attend this camp with my children. It's $5,000. It's this and that. The best of the best go here and all that type of stuff. And she said, because you are starting out, I'm going to pay, listen to this, I'm going to pay your 2 months of your mortgage. And so my husband was like, oh my gosh, did you hear that? She's going to pay 2 months of our mortgage. She's going to send Salvi to this camp that costs $5,000. And my little discernment ears was like, something is not right here. Okay? Something isn't right. You don't just offer that after knowing someone, or not even knowing, but getting to know someone after a month. I saw her disposition. I saw she was already like very controlling, like a Jezebel. I already saw that. Okay. And I said, I don't think we should accept any money from her or anything like that. He said, no, I know it comes from a good place. She's a really nice woman. No, I had already saw it. Something's not right with this lady. Something's not right. So one day we take the kids out and I have on some really nice seeing glasses. These glasses were probably the frames were probably about $1,000, right? She asked him the next day at work, how was your wife able to afford those glasses? Okay, now she's asking my husband, how is your wife able to afford those glasses? So this man really had the nerve to come back and ask me, hey, she wants to know how you were able to afford those glasses. And I said, well, this is what you can say to her. You never count the money in people's pockets, and that's not any of her concern. Now, this woman had been watching my stories on Facebook. She had been liking like certain things. Oh, girl, you can sing. You should let me be your manager. Really weirdo stuff. And when he went back and told her like, oh, well, she just was like, it's, her money. She, I let her do what she wants to do with her money. That did not satisfy her. Okay. That response did not satisfy her. From that day out, she had a hit over my head. She did not like me. When my husband left, God gave me a dream how she was very significant. She played a very significant part in planting the seeds of him leaving. Oh, you can do better. Um, you can do better. She's holding you back from being successful. You know, you give her a lot of praises, but I never hear her say anything nice about you. So all these thoughts running through the man's head, he came into agreement with her. I'm telling you, you do not need to be intimate with someone to have a soul tie with someone. How you gain a soul tie with someone is coming into agreement with that thing. Okay? God showed me that they have a soul tie, and it came by way of agreement. Agreement. Your yes is very powerful. Okay? I told you that, right? You guys don't want to listen. I'm telling you. Your yes is very powerful. And when you get in something, it's very easy. But to get out of it, it's going to be very difficult. And you may have to suffer the consequence of that thing for years, maybe even generations, if you don't know how to break it. If you don't know how to break certain agreements, certain covenants that you came into, then your children and maybe your children's children will have to pay for it. So please be mindful that your yes, who you give your yes to, who you come into agreement with, is very powerful. It can change the whole trajectory of your life. Okay? Susan, amen. Awesome. All right. So Joshua made a peace with them and made a covenant treaty with them to let them live, and the leaders of the congregation of Israel swore an oath to them. Now, 3 days later, after making the covenant treaty with them, the Israelites heard that they were actually their neighbors and that they were living among them. What did I tell you? These people are closer than you think. They're in close proximity. They're in hand's reach. They've just been studying you and been quiet. Okay? So you don't, when they finally do come to you, you're not going to think too much about it. You're not going to go to God and ask for his counsel and his guidance and his instructions, because they're going to come looking the part. All right. Then the sons of Israel, so let's go down a little bit. So the sons of Israel are now heated. They're pissed off because they're like, how dare you just let these people live among us, among our family, our wives, and everything, and not go to God and get the answers. So they're like, you put our whole lives in jeopardy. But the sons of Israel did not strike them, because the leaders of the congregation had sworn to them by the Lord, the God of Israel, to spare them. And all the congregation murmured, expressing their great dissatisfaction against the leaders. Now, I told you God is a God of covenant, whether good or bad. In verse 20, this is what we will do to them. We will let them live so that the wrath of God does not come upon us for violating the oath which we have sworn to them. Okay? Did you get that? We don't want the wrath of God to come upon us for violating the oath. Your yes is powerful. That's why the word of God says, let your yes be yes and your no be no, because it's powerful. And who you give your yes to, who you come into agreement with, can be life altering. I told you, God showed me that there was a soul tie between my husband and this woman because he agreed with her words. And then once he agreed with it, he started to speak it. We're sitting in the car, and then one day he's telling me, We have nothing in common. What do we have in common? And I'm like, well, we have, it was so off guard. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, well, we have children. He laughed. He laughed in my face when I said we have children, we have the same sense of humor. He said, oh, please, you're holding me back from being successful. I can't be the best realtor I need to be with you. And the man, he was like a whole different person, unrecognizable. I told you, when you start to speak what it is that you are, because I said you are what you eat, right? So if you're eating the words of the world, you're going to start to speak the words of the world, and the world is going to shape your reality. So he started to speak the words of this woman, right? He was listening to it. He started to speak it, and that started to shape his reality. He was gone within 5 months. I want you to make that connection, okay? That getting in covenant with the wrong person can create soul ties. Soul ties are easy to get into, but they're harder to get out. So then Joshua went to them and said, well, why did you deceive us by saying we live very far away from you, when in fact you live among us? Now therefore you are cursed, and you shall always be slaves, both cutters and gatherers of firewood, and water carriers for the house of God. They replied to Joshua and said, because the Lord your God commanded his servant Moses to give you all the land and to destroy all the land's inhabitants before you, we feared greatly for our lives because of you. And so we did this deceptive thing. So for the rest of their lives, they will be cutters, water gatherers, and all this type of enslaved work, right? Because being deceptive opens the door to sin. And when you are sinful, you are left without a defense, without protection, okay? You are left without protection. And that was Joshua 9. So you can read that for yourself whenever you want to get a chance to read that. You can read that for yourself. But I just want you to get your yes is very powerful. It's a very powerful, powerful, powerful thing. Pay attention to how they're coming to you. Pay attention to their tone. Like all that nice stuff. See, we forget. Jesus wasn't a nice man. He was a kind man. So when someone comes to you overly nice, like they're just overly nice, I'm telling you, 95%, there's something wrong there. There's something wrong. When someone is just overly nice, I don't care if it's an underlying issue of insecurity, jealousy, deceit. I don't care what it is. Being overly nice is hiding something that's truly within you. And it could be as simple as insecurity, okay? People want to overcompensate for their insecurities, so then they're overly nice. And then they become like carpets for people to walk on. That's still a problem, all right? That's still a problem. They're closer than you think. Be on guard. Be on guard.